Hi, before I really jump into this video, I want to give a quick apology for the visual quality of some sections. I had a lot of technical issues with this game. Some were, I think, compatibility issues with Windows 11, and I think some were because OBS just got really angry with me while recording. Unfortunately, there's sections of the game I was not able to record, and some sections that were recorded at a very low resolution, but I salvaged what I could to get this video done in time. I promise the next stuff coming up is much better, but this video had some problems, so I'm sorry about that. Anyways, I guess it's time to jump in. Hello and welcome to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Sunday, February 25th, 2024. That means it's the 56th day of ranking my favorite video games through each day of the year. Coming in at number 311 is Spore. I remember when Spore was coming out, the hype was massive. Maxis, the developer behind the Sims franchise, was making a massive 4X simulation game that was supposed to be infinitely replayable as you guide your own alien species from a single-cell organism all the way to a hyper-intelligent spacefaring race. Almost every aspect of the environments and other species you interacted with would be procedurally generated along the way, making no two games feel alike. That was the promise. There are 5 stages to Spore. First the cell stage, followed by creature, then tribal, then civilization, and finally space. In the cell stage, you start off as a single cell organism and gather food. At various points in the stage, you grow larger and more complex, giving you options to further customize your species, until eventually you're like a little fish thing. This stage is pretty chill, with I think the best character controls in the whole game, but it's definitely the least strategically complex. From there, you evolve to grow legs and breathe air, entering land. In the creature stage, you're not quite intelligent yet, and things start to really branch off on your species. A lot of decisions you make here will have huge impacts further down the line. Are you an herbivore or a carnivore? Are you social or aggressive? As you define these traits through your actions, you gain abilities throughout the rest of the game that you can activate in order to help accomplish the various goals needed to continue your species' progress. Gameplay is pretty simple here. You're controlling a single member of your species and running around third person with abilities you can use to convince other species to be friends, or kill them. After you deal with most of the other species in one way or another, you move on to the tribal stage, which is sort of the first real-time strategy game on my list. Now you control several members of your species all at once, gathering food to hatch more, and build buildings to create equipment to help them with various tasks. Just like the creature stage, you can befriend other species or attack them, but you have some special abilities from your tribe's chieftain as well. As a person that loves RTS, the pacing of this section feels especially painful because it's kind of slow and clunky and just everything takes a while to do things. It's not very responsive. The movement isn't quite what I would like, but the bones of it are still pretty decent, and it's one of my favorite parts of the game. After the tribal stage, you move on to the civilization stage. I'll give you one guess what kind of game this plays like. It rhymes with Mid-Sire's Visualization. Unfortunately, my game kept crashing at the end of the tribal stage while trying to record. I think because of a compatibility issue with Windows 11. EA put Spore on life support pretty much immediately after its release in 2008, and optimization has gotten even worse over time, so I'll be quick on the rest of the game. You've now become the dominant species of the planet and are fighting amongst yourselves for your nation to become a global superpower. Similar to actual civilization games, you have a variety of paths to victory, but it's all much shorter and way more surface level strategy. While I think most sections of the game kind of wear out their welcome, since you're largely doing the same objective just several times over, this is the only section of the game I actually wish was longer, even though you don't have more things to do. The last stage of the game is the space stage. When you reach this point of the game, there's nowhere else to go, so you can just play endlessly. It turns into a sandbox game as you navigate the galaxy and find other planets and spacefaring life forms. Amusingly, at some earlier parts of the game, you might run into aliens flying over your planet and abducting life from it. Now it's your turn. You can explore other planets, collect other life forms to research, but much of the gameplay in this stage is focused on tactical space combat, managing alliances, and trade routes. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of depth to any of those tasks, so the space stage very quickly wears out its welcome, in my opinion. All things considered, Spore was a very ambitious project that I think just didn't have quite enough to do at any one particular time. The game promised endless replayability, but other than going a peaceful or aggressive route, there's not actually that many changes about gameplay from playthrough to playthrough, rapidly running out of things to explore after taking 2 species to the space stage, which only takes about 5 hours each. The game and its aesthetics are very charming, and the gameplay that is there is pretty fun and engaging, but it's executed in such a repetitive nature that by the time I'm around 75% of the way through each stage, I'm just ready to move on to the next one, and that last quarter feels like a slog I have to push through. But for its ambition, creativity, and oftentimes humor, Spore finds a home on my rankings. Join me tomorrow as I talk about the 310th game on my list, where things are less final than they originally seemed.